Bill, very warm welcome to you. Now, this company I was mentioning there, Oleg Deripaska's aluminium business, Rusal, 50% wiped off the value. Now, that's $4.5 billion. Why such a big response? Just explain how these sanctions bite.
Well, basically, what the U.S. Treasury is saying is that the U.S. doesn't want anybody, any American, but a lot of people connected to America to do business with Oleg Deripaska or his company. And this is a big international company. They're doing business in dollars with people all over the world.
Commodities are typically dollar denominated.
And on top of that, these people have debt that they have to pay in dollars. And so it basically paralyzes the company. I think there probably are dozens of lawyers right now in an emergency meeting trying to figure out what they can do, what they can't do. Anybody who's doing business with this company has got to figure out, do they want to be in violation of sanctions? If they pay them back money they owe them, if they're doing contracts with them, everything grinds to a halt. And so it creates an enormous amount of uncertainty, and it probably cuts off a lot of business.
Now, when we got this announcement on Friday afternoon, I can imagine what you probably thought about it, but there was originally a watch list, wasn't there, in January, I think the US government issued it, where there were about 200 different either entities or individuals on it. What was the rationale for how these sort of targeted people and institutions were picked?
Well, it's not clear what was inside their minds when they picked them, because I wasn't there, but if you look at who was picked, these are people who all have very close relationships with Vladimir Putin. Oleg Deripaska is a total insider. Same thing with all the other characters. And also, all these characters, all these people have some type of issue. So in the case of Deripaska, there's the whole Manafort issue. In the case of Suleiman Karimov, he was under arrest in France. In the case of Vekselberg, he was at the inauguration of Trump. So there's something specific and unique about each of these people who are on this list.
And when we say it comes close to Putin, presumably what you mean is it bites financially.
Well, what the purpose of this is that Vladimir Putin, that they didn't want to just go after people close to Putin, they wanted to get to Putin. And some of these oligarchs are trustees for Vladimir Putin. Putin is a very rich man. He has a lot of money, and he doesn't hold the money in his own name. He holds the money in names of oligarch trustees. And so some of the people on the list are holding money for Putin. And so effectively, the United States government has sanctioned Putin.
And we know what the United States is doing. They've made this bold move. But what about questions around companies closer to home? So we've got Glencore, for example, big FTSE 100 company. It's got a stake in Rusal, listed on London Stock Exchange. Also, BP has a stake in Rosneft.
Well, this creates a real problem. BP is got a possible future problem. Glencore has got a current problem, which is what do you do in a situation when you're a global international company with lots of business with the United States, and you have an investment in a U.S. sanctioned company? It creates an enormous headache, problem, and potential liability for Glencore.
Would you expect a UK government response to?
Well, I think that
follow suit.
I mean, let's look at the situation. There was a Russian terrorist attack using military-grade chemical weapons in Salisbury, and it's the Americans sanctioning the Russians, not the Brits. So Theresa May has to step up to the plate and do the same thing that the Americans have done here. If she doesn't, it sets an enormous welcome mat to do more terrorist attacks here.
With impunity. And I suppose the other thing about the American response is this is just a very small proportion of the original list, so presumably they can and probably will continue to go further.
Well, and that's a very important point, because there's only 7 out of those 200 people, and they don't want to sanction everybody in one go. They want to both create a punishment and create a massive disincentive for future bad acts. And by only doing 7, they're saying, you know, we can do 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 the next time, and it's the message to Vladimir Putin, which is, you know, don't do any of this bad stuff anymore, because now we're coming after your money.
And how painful is what's already happened, do you think, for President Putin?
I think it's very painful. I think this is the first real serious act of sanctions since Russia invaded Crimea. This is the thing that really touches him personally.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll watch to see, won't we? Bill Browder, very good to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you.